He is the author of the book, The Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness book. And for more than 10 years, he's been guiding and training people in health and fitness using the F2 method.
Yeah, F squared.
He has developed and providing awareness that fitness is freedom. So let's welcome Bronson.
Yay! All right, can you guys still hear me on this thing? It's on. Is that good? I got to hold it up here. No one else move it. Is that any better? I can always turn it up. Hold on. You tell me when it's good. This is the cool thing about running everything. I get to play. Is that any better? Testing, testing. Better? All right, good. Yay! Okay. I am tethered to this computer because I'm not talking about what I was originally going to talk about. And the new presentation that I put together last night and this morning didn't transfer to the other computer like I wanted it to. So the clicker doesn't work. So I'm going to be doing it manually. It came up today. It came up a few times yesterday, and that is, how do I know what to do? There's so much information, right? So before we get into that and talk about how can we figure out what is going to work for you, let me talk about how I figured out what was working for me. Okay? This is me about 12, 13 years ago, my late 30s, going to turn 40 soon. I was about 70 pounds overweight, had IBS, urgent bowels. If anybody has ever dealt with that and understands the anxiety and the stress that goes along with not knowing when you're going to crap your pants, it's not a fun way to live. Okay? It took me a combination of gaining weight and losing weight, and gaining weight and losing weight. A combination of starting fitness, figuring out that fitness could get me to a point, and then I started gaining weight again. That fitness plus nutrition, particularly when I went carnivore 5 years ago, was the key in the combination of what was working for me. And then the different nuances and the different ways and things that I've tried within my fitness, within my nutrition, but still following the principles of what was working while I tried different protocols. Okay, so we're going to talk about what's the difference between a principle and a protocol. What is the difference between following what Dr. Saiva says when he says you don't need that much protein? How many people went, what? Right? And then Maria, who's like, we all need protein. And me, we all need protein. Or listening to somebody like Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, who says, eat all the fat you can. And no salt. Right? So there's so much different information, and it's often conflicting. But here's the thing. It's not. And this is what Joe was just saying. They're not wrong. Okay? And this is the thing I want you to think about, is how can all of that information be different but not wrong? Because we're all different. N equals 1. We're all coming from a different place. So we're going to talk about what does context mean? And how do you figure out what your context is for the information that you're receiving? Okay? One of the things that I did not do in my journey, ever, I've never measured my ketones. I've never worried about autophagy. Never worried about my fasting blood glucose. Never done intermittent fasting on purpose. I've never worried about metabolic flexibility, and I've never worried about fat loss. As a goal. As a metric, yes. As a goal, no. Okay? We'll get into that one because that's going to be a fun one. Who's ready for that one? Yeah. Okay. Context. When we talk about context, what are we talking about? There's 3 types of context. Okay? Anybody ever take a communications class? I know some people have. What are the 3 parts of communication? That's types. What are the 3 parts of communication? The sender, the message, and the receiver. It's the same thing with context. Who are you listening to? What is their context? What are they saying? What is the context of the information that they're giving you? And then how does that information apply to your context? Okay? So when we look at somebody like, let's say, Dr. Sybas, what is his context? He is a weight loss bariatric surgeon. Is that the same as my context? Who spent 12 years helping people get fit? Are we going to look at things differently? Do we have different training? Do we have different clients? Some maybe, some cross, okay? Do the clients that we have maybe at different points in their journey and have different goals at the time? He has people that have come to me. I have people that are currently working with him, okay? And the information can work for different people at different times, okay? Dr. Boz is another person who has some things to say that are different about what I say. I love Dr. Boz. She's one of my favorite people. And we've sat down and had many talks about the differences that we have in our philosophies and how things work, okay? She is literally trying to get people to a point of metabolic health where they're not about to die. So her protocol is going to be different than mine, which is more focused on optimizing quality of life, right? So the information is different, but guess what? The principles are the same. And we'll talk about what those principles are. Does that make sense to everybody? Understanding the context of who are you listening to? What is their message? What is their background? Who are they talking to? Are they talking to you? If they're not talking to you, then maybe they're not the ones you should be listening to. Doesn't matter how big their YouTube following is. They're not talking to you. They're not talking to you. Okay? And if you, okay, this is another one. Soapbox. If you're listening to someone who's trying to talk to everyone, they're probably not talking to you either. Specificity, expertise means something. If you got someone who's trying to have a lot of content out there and cover all the bases, it's very likely that the information is not as specific and impactful as it could be. Think about that. Cool. The second thing we have in context is, do I want this? Nope. And these slides may be out of order, just so you know, because I literally put them together right before I came in here. The second context is the information itself. Does the information apply to you? Is the information something that you have tried before? Is the information something that makes sense? Is there scientific backing? More importantly, is there evidence in real life that it works? Somebody asked yesterday, how do we know if the information is reliable? Is it working for people? And are the people it's working for like you? Right? That's the question. If I am trying to lose 150 pounds, if I'm trying to improve my lean mass, if I'm trying to get off of medications, that's a big one, okay? Who there is like me? If I'm a 50-year-old woman who's going through menopause, I'm not going to listen to Rob Sykes, who's a bodybuilder. That information doesn't apply to me. That's not my context, okay? I'm a 51-year-old man who's worried about optimizing my physical performance, okay? Dr. Boz doesn't have a message for me. That make sense? Okay? Think about, what is your context? What is the information? How does it apply to you? And then when we talk about your context, what's your experience? What have you tried? What's failed? What's worked? What is your goal? When do you expect that goal to happen? Many of us expect the goal to happen way sooner than it's going to happen. Right? How many of you are patient when it comes to your progress? This is for sample, not because I'm patient. Okay? So the idea that your specific context is the most important piece of the puzzle is what I want you to take from this. Okay? The individual, that's you, matters most. Okay? The only rule, when we talk about principles and protocols, what's another word for protocol? A rule, guideline, right? The only rule that matters, everybody write this down. If you have a pen out, if you don't, write this down. The only rule that matters is your progress. That's it. There is no such thing as the best way to do something. There is no such thing as the right way to do something. The only thing that works, or the only thing that matters in your journey is it working for you right now? Okay? So when you listen to someone say, you need more protein, you listen to someone else say you need less protein, do a little critical thinking. Dig into that a little bit. What is that person's background? If that person's background, and I don't know if you guys caught it when Dr. Sivas today said you don't need as much protein as you think. If you kept listening to what he was saying, the very next thing he said is, most of my patients are under eating fat. So what's the context there? Is it really that they don't need as much protein, or is it that they need more fat? And that doesn't mean a ton more fat, right? The idea of high fat compared to what? High fat compared to what you've been eating? High fat compared to your protein? High fat compared to the USDA recommendations? What's the context? What's going to work for you is what you should focus on. Does that make sense? I'm going to be asking that a lot because I want to make sure you guys are getting what I'm saying. Okay? All right. Also, if you don't know, if you guys have never heard me before, I like feedback. So the head nods and the amens and the high fives and all that kind of stuff, go for it. Okay? Hey, there we go. I love it. All right. There it is. Preach. All right. One of the things about context when we're looking at the information, how many people, did we pass out the balloons? Did everybody get balloons? Okay, everybody blow up your balloons. Just cause. I said so. However far you want to go. That's up to you. If you want to time off, you can time off. You can let them go, make a bunch of fart noises, whatever you want to do. Okay. There we go. There it is. Okay. Now, if you tied them off, tie them off. If you're not going to tie them off, let all the air out. Hey, we got balloons everywhere. All right, now let me ask you a question. Why did that balloon fill up with air? Because you made it? Because you blew into it? Okay? How? Can you explain to me the physics of your diaphragm creating higher pressure than the air in the balloon? Can you okay, we got a physicist in the room. Can you explain to me airflow dynamics? Can you explain to me the science of how that balloon blew up? No. Then why do you care about mitochondrial health?
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
It is. Right. The science behind nutrition is great information, but it's not going to help you reach your goal. The things that allow you to implement the science in your life, the principles behind why those things work, is what you need to focus on. How many of you can tell time by looking at a clock? How many of you know how quartz works? Or the spring tension? See, we got another engineer over here. Right? Or the spring tension and gear mechanics of a manual clock. How that works. I don't know. I don't know how a combustion engine works, but I can drive my car to work. Okay? What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on how to do this stuff daily? Or are you focusing on how it works? I got to understand all the science. Both? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you get stuck in the minutia, you're going to miss the steps you need to take to move forward. Okay? That's what I want you to take away from this. Okay? So that's why principles are so dang important. Because the principles, you all got the balloons, right? Because the principles that was the best timing ever. Because the principles are going to be around a lot longer than any protocol. Because protocols are fickle. Protocols, I could come up with a protocol for something today and say, this is the way to do it. But does it meet the needs of the principles of what you need in your life? Okay? Here's an example. The difference between concepts, principles, and protocols. What's a good concept? We all know the proper human diet. PhD. Who's got a PhD shirt on? I see one over here. PhD. I'm working on my PhD. I love it. Right? Dr. Barrett came up with that. I tell him all the time. I'm jealous that he did it before I did. Proper human diet is a great concept. There's a lot of layers and levels underneath there. One of those layers and levels is the principle of prioritizing protein. Would you agree? Okay. Protein sparing modified fast is a protocol that meets that requirement of prioritizing protein. Is everybody someone that should be doing PSMF? No.
Well, what is it?
Protein sparing modified fast.
I've never seen it clearly defined except for by Google and it says 80 carbs or less.
There's a lot, and that's another aspect which we could get into is the multiple definitions for similar things, right? And finding out which one is the right one that's going to work for you, okay? But when we look at the hierarchy, big word of the day, of all this information, where are you getting stuck? Most of us are getting stuck down here. Bring it up a level. If you can bring it up a level, it makes it a lot easier. Instead of saying, well, how do I do PSMF? Well, what if you just think, how do I prioritize protein every day? It's a lot less complicated that way, don't you think? What can I do to just get more protein in? If I'm meeting that minimum, then maybe the issues that I'm having might go away. Okay? Often, the answer that will work is the simple answer, not the complicated one. So if you're stressing out, and here's another aspect, if you're stressing out, how do I make this protocol work in my life? I can't figure out the schedule. I can't get enough protein. I feel like crap when I do this. Is that removing stress or adding stress? What's the whole purpose of this thing? Remove. Okay? That one makes sense? Okay, good. This is definitely out of order. Okay, we'll talk about this anyways. You can thank Coach Nat for this one, because I was talking, where is she? She's not here, she went out. I was talking this over with her last night going, how am I going to get this message across? When we talk about concepts, principles, and protocols, you want to date protocols. You want to marry principles. Okay? Try things out. Date protocols, marry principles. Principles aren't going anywhere. The principles of why things are working for you aren't going to change. Okay? How you do it is going to change. Okay? I guarantee you that what got you where you are now is not going to get you where you want to go. And half of my slides are gone. What? All right, I got to wing it. Okay. I thought, literally, guys, I put this together this morning because I felt I was going to talk about exercise science and all this other kind of cool, fancy stuff. Is it up there? No, it's just, that's the last slide. Somehow all the slides didn't come over. No, absolutely, because I felt like there was definitely a lot of questions about, we're getting all this information, what do we do, okay? So when we talk about change, what got you here is not going to get you there, okay? So not only don't marry the protocols, don't marry what you're doing, and which is part of not marrying the protocol, right? If I'm currently doing PSMF and it's working for me, is that going to work forever? No. At some point in time, my body's going to change and adapt and improve, hopefully, and then I need to move into another way, whether it's something else that's going to help me maintain where I've gotten to or move to the next level. Same thing in fitness. If I start off my journey doing Zumba, is that going to work for me every day for the rest of my life? Now, at some point, I need to do something different. Right? All right. How much time do I got? I got 20 minutes?
Take an hour.
Take an hour? Okay. When we talk about change, it's what got you here is what is not going to get you there. There are 6 principles that I want to talk about. Okay. You know what? Before I talk about this, you can write down 6 numbers if you want. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about two protocols that are potholes on the road of principle. I just came up with that. Okay? Two potholes in the road of principle. Because what are principles? Think of principles like the roads, right? You can go anywhere you want to in life, or in the world, in the U.S., whatever. If you drive on the roads, you got to follow the rules of the road. But that doesn't mean we all drive the same car. That doesn't mean we all drive the same speed, right? But we're following the principles of traffic, of traveling, of being on the road and driving a car. It's all the same principle, okay? So it's the same thing here. Principles are the road of success, okay? They're not going anywhere. How you drive on that road, whether you get a ticket or not, whether you get in an accident, whether you get off on the side of the road and get stuck in a tourist trap, any of that kind of stuff, that's all up to you. And that's where the protocols in your daily life come into play. All right? Now, when we talk about two big potholes that I see, how many of you guys have ever used macronutrient ratios in your planning? How many percentages of calories from protein and fat and carbs should I have? Stop. Stop. It's not doing anything for you. Okay? Your body needs protein. Your body needs fat. The two are not tied to each other. Okay? Think about this. When you do ratios, and this is one of the reasons why they don't work. Okay? The principle behind ratios is what? One word. Starts with a C. Calories. Okay? Calories as a principle is flawed hugely. Okay? Nutrition as a principle. And what is that? That is giving your body what it needs. The principle behind good nutrition, the proper human diet, is giving your body the nutrition that it needs. Beyond just macronutrients, we also have micronutrients. So if we take that entire picture of good nutrition and we say, I'm going to give my body what it needs, now we're talking about a whole different ballgame. And they're not tied to each other. Okay, Dr. Sivas is 100% right. You probably don't need as much protein as you think you need. You might need more than you're getting. Context. Okay? And how much protein you get doesn't have anything to do with how much fat you need. Did you guys know that protein is the primary precursor for thyroid hormone? Right? How many times do we hear, well, you need fat for hormones? Well, guess what? You need protein too. Right? No, it's good. It's good. We'll have a nice sunset. We'll talk under the sun. Feel the warmth coming out? Okay? So that is one of the potholes I want you to avoid. Okay? Stop using ratios. Start figuring out for yourself how much protein makes me feel good. How much protein moves me in the direction I want to go. Am I getting stronger? Am I gaining lean mass? Am I able to do more things? Is my work capacity improving? Is my body able to do more? Am I more physically free? That's what protein will help you do. Okay? The same with fat. Do I have more energy? Am I thinking better? Is my clarity, is my mood improving? That's a big one for fat intake. Okay? The same with exercise. Are these things working and helping me get better? As their own individual things. They're not tied to each other. So let's stop you. Everybody, we can start a campaign. # no more ratios. Like, I really think. And then the second one, you ready for this one? Stop trying to lose fat. Fat is not the problem. The more you focus on fat loss, the more you spend energy doing something that is not going to work long term. The problem is not the water on the floor. When you have a leaky faucet and your tub overflows, is the problem the water on the floor or is it the leaky faucet? Many of us get stuck mopping up the floor, and we're mopping up the floor, and we're mopping up the floor. And then we go, this mop ain't working. Let me go get a different mop. Oh, let's mop up the floor. Let's get a bucket. Maybe that'll work. And you're spending a lot of time coming up with all these different ways to try to get rid of the excess water. And you're not fixing the problem. Fix the faucet and the rest will take care of itself. It's hard though, right? Because we've been told for so long it's all about weight. It's all about how you look. It's all about your size. Okay, but I can tell you right now, if you can change your mindset around what the issue is that you're trying to fix, it does a couple things. It makes the problem easier because now you don't have to focus on one thing. And if that one thing doesn't change, if my weight doesn't change, now I'm stuck. What do? I'm in a plateau. If I focus on improving metabolic function and how my body actually works, now I can look at lean mass, body fat percentage, base metabolic rate, strength, endurance, stamina, coordination, flexibility, agility, speed, power, right? How well do I work doing heavy work? How well do I work doing stuff that takes a long time? Do I have energy throughout the day? Do I get crashes after I eat, or can I go all day and not feel like crap? It opens up a whole nother world of things that you can look at, because now you're not just looking at your weight, you're looking at your life. And that's what this is about. Everybody get that one? Okay, good. All right, those are the two potholes. No more fat loss, no more ratios. All right, yes, sir, I like that. Okay. Shoot. No, tracking is absolutely necessary. Yeah. The ratio, when I say no ratios, what I'm saying is do not tie your fat intake to your protein intake. If I need 100 grams of fat in my life and that's where I feel good, and I need 150 grams of protein and that's where I feel good, whatever that ratio ends up being, that's great. It means nothing. What's up, Sue?
I think we need to concentrate on non-scale victories.
Absolutely.
Well, we're looked at how are we feeling when we get up in the morning? Are we vibrant? Are we active? What kind of clarity do we have? Can we accomplish the tasks during the day?
100%.
Want to do? I think, unfortunately, a lot of my clients, they have overlooked the non-scale victories. They're focused on the scale on a daily basis. One client in particular, she's always looking at the weight
Sure.
every morning. I said,
Sure.
What's ideal? You know, we'll kind of hone in on your short-term goal, week by week, but she wants to take a look at
Yeah.
each day. And what that does, it prompts the anxiety and tension of, hey, I'm not accomplishing what I want. And the stress and the duress from that kind of takes away from the weight loss ability.
Absolutely. 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 That's why opening it up and looking at other things, right? What are the components of fitness? What are the components of health? Things like that. But I'll hold on to your questions. I got 6 points to make.
4.
6 points. Say again? 5 minutes. Gosh, see? And I didn't even have slides for half of this. Okay. 6 principles that I want you guys to take home. Okay? Nutrient density. Focus on getting as much nutrient in your food as possible. Okay, you guys ready for this one? Macros are not nutrition. They're not. Nope, that's part of nutrient density. Macros are not nutrition. I don't care if you're getting all the protein you need. If it's coming from egg white powder or protein powder, you're not getting nutrition. I love all of the different options that are out there to help people manage their macros. But if you're mostly subsisting off of egg white bread, you're not getting nutrition. Sorry. Not sorry. Okay? Nutrient density. Bioavailability is next. If you're not able to utilize the nutrition that you're getting, what's the point? Okay? No matter if you're carnivore, if you're ketovore, if you're keto, if you're doing veggies, whatever else, make sure you're preparing those veggies in such a way that you're going to get the nutrition out of them that's in there without harming yourself. Okay? Thirdly, satiety. If you're not eating foods that trigger the hormones in your body to tell you when you're full and help you stay full for longer, then you're going to overconsume. Right? Most high caloric foods are least satiating. That's how it is. So if you're eating a lot all the time, you're probably not getting much nutrition because more nutrition is more satiating. Okay? If you guys haven't ever looked up Marty Kendall and the work that he's done in Nutrition Optimizer, he has years and thousands of people that have gone through his program where he's collected all the data. He has a system where he ties their chronometer information, micronutrient information, and data mines it to determine all sorts of crazy statistical things and how amazing our body is when we look at satiety based on nutrient intake. It's fantastic stuff. Nutrient Optimizer, check them out. Marty Kendall. Those are 3 nutrition principles. 3 fitness principles. Move well. Learn how to move your body so that you can help prevent injury. Okay? Functional movement. You guys have ever heard me talk about 7 functional movements? We might get, are you going to get into any of that, Jocelyn? Okay, all right. Functional movement. So when Jocelyn comes up here later today, you're going to hear a lot of stuff that may sound familiar because Jocelyn and I have similar backgrounds. We both own CrossFit gyms. We both have been through all our CrossFit training. She's got a level higher than me in CrossFit, whatever. Okay, she's a level 4 CrossFit trainer, which is the highest you can go. Okay, I'm a level 3. One of these days. She could teach me because she's a trainer too, right? So you're going to hear some more good stuff. Okay, and this unintentionally has become kind of a. We should get CrossFit in here because we've been talking a lot about CrossFit the last 2 days. Move well. Proper movement is key. Okay. The second one, move weight. Right, Mom? Weight-bearing exercises. Okay? If you are not doing something that is challenging your body and telling it to adapt, is it going to adapt? If you want your life to be more free, you have to do things that you want to do. If I want to get better at gardening, and that's what I want to do, then maybe you should go start doing more gardening. Take the thing that's challenging, make it easier. That's your goal. That's your fitness. That doesn't mean you have to go to a gym. It can be done in your home. Okay? If it's challenging, that's your goal. I don't want this to be challenging anymore. What can I do to make it easy? Getting up and down off the floor. I have so many clients that are like, I can't do this program because I can't even get on the floor to do it. Okay, great. Do it from your couch. There's always a way. Okay? Last fitness piece, and then I'll be done. Move often. I don't care how much you do it. I don't care when you do it, but don't stop doing it. The more you do it, the more consistent you are at building the habit, the easier it will become, and the more part of your life and the expectation that you have for where you're going and your physical ability to do things will grow. Okay? Move well, move weight, move often. All right? How we do that, there's like 8 more talks that we can get into how to make all those things happen. But if you're focusing on answering those questions, you're going to move a lot further than getting stuck in, what about this one little thing? What about that one little thing? And that paralysis by analysis will go away. Okay, bring it up a level. Am I at least meeting this? If I'm not meeting this, then why am I worried about this? Let's go bring it up one. Cool? All right, guys. Thanks.